If you ask most Samira enjoyers, they will tell you she sucks to play. But what if I told you this is because we're all playing her wrong, and there's actually a better build with better early game, better late game, a nicer build path, infinite scaling, and you reach 500 and even 600 in a lot of your games. What are we doing with Conqueror, guys? This build is like having a quadruple Conqueror perma stacked on you, plus more benefits. So you see, I have actually figured out that the most optimal build and runes for Samira are completely different in order to suit her modern 2025 playstyle and what she wants to do in your team right now. We're just building her in a way that doesn't fit her current playstyle at all, and instead is a remainder of the back in the days, good old days playstyle. For some context, I love Samira, and I play her in Halo a lot. I think I'm one of the last remaining Samira mains in Halo actually. But even though I love her, she's frustrating to play, to say the least. I mean, an ADC who can't be picked early in the draft is already a non-starter in a lot of games. It's a disadvantage for your whole team. And you know, getting a good angle just to pick her is only the first of your worries. There's the horrible laning, the lack of range, the reliance on an engaged support, according to some people. Then there's getting blown up easily, being squishy, and feeling bad to play from behind. If you could only take me back to the lifesteal shieldbow mythic item days. Well, what if that is the issue? We got used to playing her back when you rushed mythic item shieldbow. So that gave you, in the first item alone, lifesteal, crit, and a shield. That means that Samira had more survivability. There's a lot more things than just this, and we're gonna go over them in a second. But first, let me say, as a Samira main, this is the completely wrong approach, and it finally clicked for me how to make her work nowadays. IMO, the new Samira modern playstyle, is more like a squishy glass cannon assassin with resets. So imagine like a Kha'Zix with E-Evolve or a Katarina with full glass cannon build. You're not getting neither lifesteal nor tankiness until very late. So in the fights you're actually expected to stand around waiting for the correct opportunity to go in and one-shot someone, rather than go in at the beginning and play with your ult like before. And then if you get resets you keep one-shotting people. So for this new playstyle, we're building her wrong. Let's compare what changed from old Samira to the new Samira. So let's list some points of what made her more like a drainy Conqueror bruiser before, mixed with an assassin. First, hear me out on what changed. Lifesteal runes gave more lifesteal than they do now. Legend Bloodline got nerfed. Then we also had a really nice rune, if you remember, called Ravenous Hunter. That is also not a thing anymore. And then obviously we used to rush Mythic item Shieldbow. Mythic item Shieldbow gave you the shield on the first item, as well as lifesteal on first item, and something that is not minor, that it gave you HP every time you bought an additional item. So we were much tankier, much more sustained. This means we prefer to play with ult, Conqueror full stacks, and long fights. Sort of like an Irelia with a lot of lifesteal if you think about it. So the main source of damage back then was mainly stacking Conqueror and playing with ult. Even though EQ did some damage, in my opinion the main thing was just getting those resets that you get more HP and staying in the fight forever. So what is the new playstyle? In the new playstyle we are way more squishy. We have no lifesteal in the first couple items. In fact, most people don't build Shieldbow on Samira until either 3, 4 or 5 in the slots. You need the Collector and Infinity first, and some games you even need Armor Pen before the Shieldbow. So that means we're super squishy. We're also not getting lifesteal, because Bloodline takes long to stack and it's actually way worse than before. Ravenous Hunter doesn't exist anymore. We're not buying lifesteal in the first items, we don't have the shield, and we're not getting extra HP every time we buy an additional item. So the ult is more like a last hitting tool now, when you're out of cooldowns late into a fight. But it's not your main damage source and you're not draining and lifestealing during the ult like before. I think Conqueror, for this reason, is pretty useless on Samira right now, and not a game changer, unless you're fighting into like a high tankiness, lots of HP enemy. But even then, Samira's just bad into those anyway. So I might still go Conqueror into a comp that has like 3 tanks, but into a comp that has 3 tanks I wouldn't pick Samira in the first place. So I don't see what place Conqueror has now for Samira. Another issue I have with Conqueror is how useless it is in lane in the first levels, because as you know, it stacks way slower if you're ranged. Samira counts as a ranged champion no matter how you're hitting, and it takes you legit like 5 to 8, even 10 seconds to stack the full Conqueror stacks early. Because Samira has a problem, which is her Q has an insane cooldown level 1, level 2, has 6-second cooldown. So this with auto attacks, and obviously E and W, you can only use them one time in a fight in early game unless you get a reset. So this means that in early trading, early laning, you basically get 0 value from Conqueror. And then when you actually get full stacks of Conqueror and you go in a fight, the healing is CBA, man. The lifestealing of Samira ult is not that good anymore, and you don't even have that much lifesteal in the other items. You're not going Bloodthirster until like literally the last item in the build, and you don't have Ravenous Hunter anymore, Bloodline is worse, so having a tiny bit of drain with a Conqueror in your ult does literally nothing in my opinion. So why are we getting Conqueror? Well, it does a little bit of damage then. Yeah, but it takes a long time to stack to do that damage unless you are comboing in after level 6, 7, 8 when your Q has a cooldown. Even the damage that it does, I found a setup that actually does more damage than that Conqueror in the first place. So this is my new setup that is gonna be better for the playstyle that Samira has right now. So for the runes, we're gonna ditch Conqueror. And we're also gonna ditch Last Stand, which is something we like to use. Last Stand had a lot of synergy with Shield Bow, but if we're not going Shield Bow anymore, then Last Stand has not a lot of value, does it? So here's what we're doing. We're going Dark Harvest. Dark Harvest solves so many of your issues, and you will see why in the gameplay that I'm showing you. But basically, it helps you get that first reset, it helps you execute people who are low in the fight, which is what you're waiting for anyway, and it is what everybody who has the Samira playstyle wants. So basically, we are optimizing for the first auto-attack EQ burst of damage, rather than optimizing for the full stack Conqueror ult damage, which is really bad right now. So this is what I like to call auto-attack EQ Samira. You're optimizing for that first front burst of damage, and you're just leaving the ult for last hitting at the end if somebody survives that, which is totally fine. So the setup is Dark Harvest, Sudden Impact for the same reason. In the ward row, you don't really care which one, I just go the Trinket cooldown one. And in the last one we want Treasure Hunter, because it will synergize very well with getting more items early, and you will see why. In the secondary runes, we're going to go Triumph for the resets, because that's the thing about Dark Harvest. You might ask, why are we not using Electrocute or another rune that gives you that first burst of damage? And it's because we're still a reset champion, so we wanna keep resetting the Dark Harvest in the fight and hitting other people with the Dark Harvest who are low HP. So I promise you this playstyle feels so good with this. So we're going Triumph, which will give us gold and HP when we get a kill, so it synergizes with Treasure Hunter as well. And we're going to go, instead of Last Stand, we're not going Last Stand, because you're waiting out of the fight full HP and then you go in and flash on someone, so the Last Stand is not doing shit. So what we wanna do is we wanna go Coup de Grace, and these will synergize extremely well with the Dark Harvest and the Sudden Impact. What about the build? This is another thing that is better than before. So we're optimizing for early lethality. You see, Samira wants a lot of crit only when you're playing a lot with ult. Famously, what I teach my Samira students is that you need to buy crit, and until you have infinity plus at least 50% crit, your ult is like 0 damage. But because we're not playing with the ult that much with this build, and we're only using it for last hitting, you don't care about rushing crit that early. So we're actually going Hubris early, basically every game. The build path is insanely good, you can just spam longswords every time you back. And then once you finish Collector second, you get 28 lethality total. At this point, your auto-attack EQ is so insane that it overcomes the lack of crit. In fact, one broken thing about Hubris is that you don't even need to stack it for it to be good. Like, the item alone without getting the proc is already insane amount of AD, 60 AD. And then when you actually get a kill, even if you have 0 stacks on it, it's 15 plus AD. So that's, I think, insane. You will see how good it feels. It's actually, think about it, when you get the first reset with Dark Harvest in a fight, once Hubris gets activated, you actually have the best of both worlds, because the Hubris AD bonus is actually more than Conqueror. So with a Hubris AD bonus, it's like you have a Conqueror full stacks, or better, but you also have the Dark Harvest to one-shot people who are low. So it's, I think, the best of both worlds. I don't know why people haven't realized this yet about Samira. This is how you should be playing Samira. After Hubris, remember, we don't want to optimize for tankiness or anything, we're just one-shotting like an assassin. So after Hubris and Collector, we're going to go Infinity Edge, just for that extra burst. And because at this point we're gonna be reaching level 11 and 16 on ult soon, so it begins doing damage. And then after that, you will just optimize to whatever the match demands. You can go a Mortal Reminder or LDR type of thing. Your options are also Shield Bow or Bloodthirster. I personally don't like Bloodthirster here, because you will stay at 50% crit the whole game, which is not ideal even for the auto-attack EQ. It's too much of a gamble. With 75% crit, when you do auto-attack EQ auto-attack, you're almost guaranteed that at least one of them will be a crit, whereas with 50% you can get really unlucky. So I just like to get like either LDR or Shield Bow at this point, and then you buy whichever you didn't get before. So when you get full build, you're either gonna sacrifice 25 crit or lifesteal. That depends on what game you're playing, which one you're gonna do. Be smart about it. That's the only drawback of this build. But what if I told you I have reached 600 AD with this build regularly in my games? I don't think you guys understand how much it is. You just auto-attack EQ someone and they die from full HP when you have 600 AD. This is like having a triple, quadruple Conqueror stacked on you all the time. So why are we going Conqueror? So it's a better build, better early game, because Dark Harvest beats Conqueror level 1 when you have a champion that can't stack the Conqueror. We have better late game because it stacks infinitely. Both your Dark Harvest and your Hubris will have infinite stacks, so you have an insane late game compared to Conqueror. And the literal only drawback is that you are either gonna sacrifice lifesteal in 6 items, or you're gonna sacrifice crit in 6 items, or you're gonna sacrifice boots in 6 items. But like I said before, at that point I literally don't care about that because I have 600 AD anyway and people die without attack EQ. This build late game is so much more OP than any of the others. I figured we could see some actual gameplay and you tell me if you think Conqueror would have been better in these situations, like standard early games, standard mid games. And the idea is seeing the value of the rune itself. So here is a standard hold the bush kind of thing. As you can see, until here, Conqueror would have given me like probably 6 stacks at most. And I don't think it would have made a difference in the damage that I made. It would have given me like a couple AD points, so it's not relevant. In fact, once I proc this Dark Harvest, it's actually more damage than the Conqueror would have done, and I'm already stacking it for late game, right? So that Dark Harvest proc alone is already more damage than the Conqueror would have done in total. Now I have to be smart and realize now I have no rune. And the verse has lethal tempo stack, so we just disengage and walk out. But it's already a win. So of course this rune you gotta play with the fact that you have no sustain prolonged Conqueror damage. But you will see how that's actually not an issue once you have Hubris, and it's actually that you have way more damage than Conqueror with Hubris. So now we just wait for the next Dark Harvest proc essentially. And basically when the Dark Harvest is gone, unless you get a very good window, you don't want to be caught in a prolonged fight against a lethal tempo user, but still. So when Blitzcrank goes in and knocks him up, we still don't have Dark Harvest, but it's still not an issue, because with the sudden impact plus coup de grace, we still have plenty of burst damage, and it's not like we're missing the Conqueror in this. Like, look at this, right? It's out attack, we get stunned, but we don't need to cleanse actually, because we reach anyway. So we're actually saving the cleanse and the flash for when we actually need it. And as you can see, it's auto attack EQ, right? And then another auto attack to finish the kill. So that actually did proc our Dark Harvest, so we did more damage with it. As you can see here, the Dark Harvest was used, and now we will get the second stack. There we got the second stack. And Conqueror would have done less damage than this, right? Conqueror wouldn't have done anything here, because we never get to stack it in this kind of early fights. Until you get more cooldown reduction on your Q, or at least W, you don't stack it at all. So I don't see how Conqueror would be better here. We're already stacking for late game, we're already scaling very well. Every kill feels very good, even assist feel good. As you can see, we have a Pantheon gank here. We're input buffering the W when we're gonna get CC'd, so during the CC duration we're still doing damage. And as you can see, that initial burst, right? That initial burst would have been less damage with Conqueror because we wouldn't have fully stacked Conqueror in that initial burst. And then you wonder, oh, but your ult will have less damage after because you have no Conqueror, right? No, because that initial burst gave us the Dark Harvest reset and the Hubris reset. So see, it's an initial high burst with the Dark Harvest proc, and now we have plus 17 AD from Hubris, and we have another Dark Harvest stack ready. So as you can see, the damage is not low at all. And now we have another Dark Harvest stack. So like, it's just so easy to play this, because now it's 25 extra AD, and now we have more Dark Harvest stacks. So this fight is so much better than if we had Conqueror. As you can see, we did more damage, we get the Dark Harvest stacks, and we're stacking for late game. It's so much better. And yeah, just so that you see the damage, here we have plus 41 AD on Hubris. We get chunked out, but it won't matter because of the insane burst from Dark Harvest. Yeah, like, do you miss Conqueror in these fights? I don't think so. Here we're trying to Q him over the wall, but he doesn't come, so we end up killing him. And now the damage is, I know I'm 20 kills, but like, I just want to show you the dopamine. Like, this is so nice to play. We didn't even do a combo correctly with W at the beginning, but yeah, That's the other thing I really like. It has like infinite scaling, right? You just keep getting Hubris stacks, keep getting Dark Harvest stacks. So yeah, I think you will do great with this build as long as you remember how to play it. You will not go in early, you will not focus the high HP target tanks, you will only focus on the low HP targets first and try to isolate them and get the Dark Harvest proc and the resets, right? So as long as you do those things, this build is just superior. If you go on the tank first and try to play like stacking Conqueror and trying to have your ult as the main source of damage, this build is really bad. So yeah, go try this build, let me know if you like it. Please consider getting a coaching session. Since I do coach for a living, I can teach you to play your champion and your role and begin climbing way more. I've done more than 4,000 sessions so far. Leave a comment and a like, tell me if you like more videos like this, and I will see you in the next one.